Hello, my name is Brandon Monk, and I'm at the Carolina Hurricanes versus New Jersey Devils game, and you're watching Post to Post.
Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. And this is a report card series. I've done the Canadiens, I've done Ottawa, Buffalo, Detroit, the Islanders, the Rangers, maybe another team, I don't remember. I've done so many of them so far, but I'm going to do the Hurricanes now, and I was actually really excited for this video, not because they're not making the playoffs, but because the Carolina Hurricanes are a team that starting last year I really started to watch a lot more of. I've probably watched almost half of their games this year, and I've come to like so many of the players on the team over these past two seasons. They've skyrocketed up my list of favorite teams. They're definitely in the top 10. I think I probably got them at like 6. I need to redo that video, but I was pretty high on the Hurricanes before this season started. I think I predicted them to have 97 points and just make it in the playoffs. Unfortunately, they have not done that. Goaltending, we'll talk about it. Trust me, we'll talk about it. But in this video, you're going to see me go through the points or the statistics from last year, which you'll see on this side, versus the statistics from this year. We'll compare them. Anything in green is an improvement from last year. Anything in red is not an improvement from last year. I'm going to talk about the players. I'm going to talk about storylines, positive and negative storylines from the team this past season that I really felt are worthy of talking about. And I'm filming this now before the season ends because I'm trying to get a bunch of videos out now. So if you're watching this after the playoffs or after the season has ended, some of these numbers will be a little bit different, but not that much different. Okay, so I'm going to go through all these with you guys right now. So league rank, last year they were 21st. This year they're 21st. Interesting. Last year they had 87 points. This year they have 81. This will change a little bit. I think they've got 2 games left. Goals for last year, 215. 219 this year. Pretty much the same. Ranked, goals for ranked last year, 21st. This year, 23rd. Goals against last year, 236. This year, 247. A little bit more, but basically the same. Goals against rank last year was 19th. This year's 24th. Goal differential last year was minus 21. This year it's minus 28. Pretty much the same. Differential rank last year 22nd, 21st this year. Power play percentage last year was 17.7%. They were ranked 21st. This year it's 18.6%, ranked 22nd. Again, basically the same. Penalty kill last year 84.2%. This year 77.4%. Here's the big change. There were 6 last year in penalty kill. This year they're 24th. That's a pretty significant drop in special teams there as far as power or penalty kill goes. Shots per game, 30.4 last year, 34 this year. A team that takes a ton of shots. They're very dangerous up front, a little bit like the Islanders. Really good offensive team. So 14th they were ranked last year in shots per game. This year 4th, top 5 team for shots. Shots against per game last year 28.3. This year 28.7. Last year ranked 5th. This year ranked 1st. They on an average of a game average, they allow the least amount of shots of any team. So they do a great job keeping the puck on the outside, not letting shots get to the net, and blocking shots as well. Face-offs, they were 53.1% last year and 4th best in the league, and this year 54%. Best face-off team in the league, Carolina Hurricanes. I wouldn't have guessed it, but I knew they were probably in the top 10 based on the last time I looked at all the league statistics this in depth. Didn't realize they were 1st, so that's great. I mean, they're pretty high in some of these categories, and other categories are basically the same team they were last year. A couple categories like the penalty kill, they've really dropped off a lot, but for the most part they're pretty much the same team as far as numbers go. If we look at the players, if I start at the top as far as points, Aho has 64, Teravainen has 62, Skinner has 48, Williams has 48, Stahl has 44, Lindholm has 43, Ryan has 37, Rask has 31, Hanifin has 31, Falk has 31, McGinn has 30, and Slavin has 30. Interesting thing to note here is that Aho has actually played less games than pretty much everyone else on that list, but he has the most points. He's played 76 games as of this video, 64 points. pretty good. He's one of my favorite players in the league, which is I'm very happy to see that he's atop this list. If we go and switch over to goalies, here's where things get frustrating. Frustrating because of the situation, and frustrating because it's the total opposite of my prediction from the preseason. Scott Darling, 39 games played, 13 wins, 20 losses, 3.15 goals against average, .888 save percentage, .888 save percentage, sorry. Cam Ward, 41 games played, 22 wins, 14 losses, 2.75 goals against average, .905 save percentage. Ward was the better goalie this year, hands down, 100%. I was completely wrong. I looked at Scott Darling's numbers last year. I love Scott Darling, one of my favorite goalies in the league. He had great numbers last year. He had great numbers the year before that. I really felt like he was going to go into Carolina, finally getting that #1 position, because he last year and the year before that he was backing up Crawford in Chicago. This year, he finally had it. He finally had his #1 goalie position. Cam Ward was going to be his backup in that transition phase from starter for so many years to end his career as a backup. Give Darling the reins, and he couldn't do it. He really struggled this year. And Cam Ward played really good. He was 22 wins, 14 losses. Cam Ward looked like old Cam Ward, making unbelievable saves. Save percentage wasn't really that great. Goals against average could have been better, maybe around league average, but not too terrible. So I'm not really sure what that means going forward. I don't want to talk too much about next season, because the video is all about this season. So I'm going to leave what I think should happen as far as goaltending to a later video when we're previewing next season. So you can hear my thoughts on that in a couple of months. Okay, so now on to the storylines from the season that I felt are definitely needed to be talked about. So my preseason prediction, I guess I've already spoken about it a little bit. I predicted them to just sneak in the playoffs in a wild card spot. They couldn't do it. If they had have gotten consistent goaltending, they would have been exactly where I predicted them, and that's what the frustrating part about this is that I didn't think Scott Darling was going to be the problem. I thought the front end was going to be the problem, and it was total opposite. So frustrating. The Justin Williams experiment. He came back to Washington, to Carolina. He won the Cup there in 2006. He's back. I didn't think it was going to work, and it actually worked out okay. He got, how many points? He got 48 points, 15 goals, 33 assists. You can't complain from it. He's 36 years old. That's pretty good. Plus, he's mentoring the younger guys. Thumbs up from me there. I totally admit that I was wrong. I thought that was going to be a failed experiment, and it wasn't. Cam Ward's looked great. I've already said that. I wouldn't really call it drama, but Carolina got some new owners this year. There were agreements in place to keep the team in place for the next 7 years, so at least Hurricanes fans, you know that your team's not going to be moving for the next 7 years, which is good. But he also did some interesting things, like teased the idea of them wearing Whalers jerseys and bringing back some Whalers merchandise, because Carolina, for you younger folk, Carolina moved from Hartford when they used to be the Whalers over to Carolina. So there's history there, paying some homage to the original team out of Hartford. So I thought that was interesting. I thought that was really cool. That was a really great gesture to the fans, because there's lots of Hartford Whalers fans who followed the team, and now they're Hurricanes fans. So I thought that was a really special gesture, and it would be interesting to see the team actually play some games in Hartford, maybe some preseason games next year, maybe some regular season games. I'm not sure, but there is an arena there that can handle them for sure. That strong face-off stat, I've already talked about it. Still kind of blows my mind. I think there's teams like Colorado. I think it's the worst face-off team in the league. I can't see Colorado winning the Stanley Cup. Face-offs are so important. There are some stats that don't mean anything, like goal differential, plus minus, if we're talking about the players individually. There's so many arguments. Face-offs are huge. They don't get talked about a lot, but a good face-off team can really change the tide. And if you're taking a lot of defensive draws, and you have 3 concrete centermen that you can put out, it doesn't matter what one they are, you can just put them out and be totally confident. It changes the confidence of the entire team, so it's very important. Another thing that happened this year is Ron Francis was removed as GM and made president. So since that has happened, the Hurricanes really haven't had a GM. and they've been looking. They have been unsuccessful. I have no idea who's going to be their GM next year or what they're going to do, but I don't really know if it's I wouldn't call it a demotion that Ron Francis got. I don't think he was fired from that position. I don't think it was his decision either. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But it was definitely interesting, to say the least. And the last thing I have here is basically what I already said. They're still the average team they were last year. They haven't really gotten any worse. They haven't really gotten any better. They're kind of still in that limbo phase on the bubble of the playoffs. Lots of potential, not a lot of finish. Hopefully next year they find that finish. And by finish, I'm not talking about more finished players. I'm talking about being able to compete the entire game, finish games with a lead, with a win, and get in the playoffs. So fingers crossed for Carolina next year. Had fun watching them this year. Had fun growing more of a like towards lots of the players on the team. I really like Skinner. I love Aho. I like Darling, even though he had a tough year. I was never a fan of Williams. I found myself kind of cheering for him this year a little bit. Some other players too. So it was fun to watch Carolina, even though they didn't make the playoffs. This is the fourth video I filmed in a row. So I'm not going to film any more after this one tonight. It's pretty late. It's let's see what time it is. It's 1:15 in the morning. So this is it for me tonight. I'm going to film lots more coming up in the upcoming days. I think the team I'm going to do next is I'm not sure. I might switch over to the West next, so keep an eye out for that. I don't want to touch the Panthers yet because they're not technically eliminated from the playoffs yet, so there's still a chance that they might make it, so I don't want to touch them yet. I'll probably hop over to the West, do the West, then do the Panthers, and then do St. Louis, hypothetically, if St. Louis doesn't make the playoffs. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe that was a jinx. But anyways, that's the plan. So thank you guys for sticking with me for this series. I know it's dry. I know there's not a lot of energy, but I appreciate the viewership. Thanks for watching. If you did like this video, please hit the like button down below. If you're new, hope you can hit the subscribe button to check the future report card videos. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.